right. It's wonderful to have you joining me. My name is Cheryl Phyillaier. I'm a stay-at-home mom and Young Living Essential Oils independent distributor. And tonight, our webinar is about rising above stress in daily life, and such a applicable topic any time of the year, but especially right now with the elections and all. So let's dive right in and get started. Well, to introduce our topic tonight, I want to share with you the story of little Babaji. This is one of my boys' books that they love to read at bedtime, and it just seemed to me like kind of a hilarious illustration of some stress. There's this little guy, little Babaji, who rides on the tiger, and no, he doesn't ride on the tiger, actually. He gets a new outfit of clothes from his mom and dad, and he goes for a walk in the jungle with his new clothes, right? And by and by, he meets a tiger, and the tiger says, "Babaji, I'm going to eat you." And he's stressed, and he bargains with the tiger and gives the tiger a piece of his clothes and goes on walking, and he meets another tiger and another tiger and another tiger. And by the end of the day, he gets his clothes back, and he gets home, and his mom, she makes supper, and he eats over 200 pancakes, and he goes to bed. Does that sound like a stressful day you've had, where it's stress upon stress, and so you eat all the pancakes loaded with butter and syrup, and you go to bed? Well, yeah, I can relate to that little Babaji moment there. And oh, really, isn't that life? You know, ideally our bodies are meant to have these adrenaline rushes once in a while, but then the American culture that we live in, really probably no matter what culture you live in, we have busy lives, places to go, people to see, social media to handle, expectations placed on us by others, and we are caught swimming and trying to keep up as best we can. And bottom line is that equals stress. So first, let's take a look at what the stress looks like. What does it look like happening in the body? Well, our brain has so many stimuli to respond to throughout the day. So it just starts by the front brain kind of processing that, the nuts and bolts, just figuring out what is going on exactly. Then the stimuli is passed back to another area called Wernicke's area. And this is kind of like a filing cabinet or a recipe box where the stimuli are sorted through, and first they're identified as either normal or abnormal, and then they are recorded, as it were, so that the body remembers for next time. Oh, last time they met that person, this happened. Abnormal, so be a little cautious. Or, yeah, that was perfectly safe. Next time, no worries, you should be fine again. So it kind of keeps track of this for our safety and for our benefit. And if the stimuli is designated as abnormal, it fires that adrenaline and epinephrine, that fight or flight response within the body. These are to help us react and survive our emergency. And as I talk about, we're gonna go step by step and just talk about what happens in the body when the adrenaline is released. So let me jump over to my slide. I can here. here we are. This is Spider-Man. And of course, no, we don't turn into Spider-Man, but as a mom of boys, I guess this is what the first thing that came to mind when I thought of stress and the stress response. Because the adrenaline, it helps us to do things and accomplish things that we might not be able to do without it. It makes us into a whole new kind of person. First of all, what happens is, let's see, the heart beats faster than normal, pushing blood to the muscles and the heart and other vital organs. The pulse rate and blood pressure go up. We start to breathe more rapidly. The small airways in our lungs open wide so we can take in as much oxygen as possible with each breath. The extra oxygen is sent to the brain to increase our alertness. Our sight, hearing, and other senses become extremely sharpened so we can take in and react to our surroundings. There's a massive release of blood sugar and some fats from temporary storage sites in the body, and these nutrients flood into the bloodstream, supplying energy to all parts of the body. Lots of energy. Our muscles become uncommonly tense or tight, and we have a tendency to begin to curl into a fetal position where our shoulders come forward, our head comes down, our back curves. So to quickly curl into that fetal position, the blood vessels become dilated, altering circulation and blood pressure, and making the heart muscle work harder. And of course, a lot of cortisol, which is a hormone, is released. So that's what starts to happen within the body. There's some functions that are turned up. There are also some functions that get, for example, to conserve power and put all our energy possible towards the other stimulus, our digestive functions are lowered. Our digestive system is turned down. Also, certain parts of the brain are turned down as well and reduced in function. For example, the parts of the brain that remember people's names, birthdays, and other unnecessary details. Perhaps you've heard of the story of someone who needed to call 911 in an emergency. They couldn't remember the phone number. That would be the brain, how it's functioning. It turned down those parts so it could be active in the other areas. So what is the long-term results of this? Of course, once in a while, our body is meant to do this. God created our bodies to do this for our health, for our safety, for our survival. However, long-term or more too often starts to take its toll. For example, our blood sugar and the parts of our body that deal with blood sugar become stressed and imbalanced. Blood pressure. That's a lot of high blood pressure for a while. Our thyroid function starts to be affected. And of course, the immune function, the body's ability to heal itself, kind of a trickle-down effect of some of those others. Our hormone balance goes off, and especially estrogen dominance can start to occur. Weight is affected. Our joints are affected. You think of curling, having all that muscle tension and curling, and what that would do to the muscles in the neck, and how that would just affect the body neurologically, and the joints and everything. Bone density is affected, muscle mass, sleep patterns, and of course the brain function as well. When we were in our Facebook class, if you were fortunate to join us there, we've been looking at some cards. Feelings Buried Alive Never Die by Cheryl Truman. So this concept won't be brand new to you. You've been seeing along with us how the emotions affect the bodily processes, and those bodily processes not being normal can cause all sorts of different health problems. And it's just been eye-opening to me to learn that, along with y'all, how huge really that can be. And yeah, very significant part that the emotions play in the physical function of the body. So what happens when this stress response has gone on way too long? Well, after a while, we are not Superman anymore. The body can't keep up that that Spider-Man response forever. And we turn into something completely different. Are you ready to see what we turn into? It's not Spider-Man. We become, in my mind, like a possum. Okay, so y'all tell me, what happens when a possum experiences stress? Does he turn into Spider-Man? No, he just kind of goes to sleep or something. And this is kind of what happens. This is exactly what happens when we begin to experience adrenal fatigue. What is called adrenal fatigue. The body can't handle anymore the little adrenal glands on top of the kidneys. They don't have anything left to give. And so they stop pushing out the adrenaline, and then the body really takes on this I give up response. I can't do this anymore. I'm physically going to fall asleep, or I'm just going to really want to fall asleep, or I just give up. I can't, whatever, I can't do this anymore. And I'm sure many of us have been there at some point in our lives. I believe I experienced this during college, at the end of my college years, after all the stress of a semester or whatever, just being ready to give up. And so yeah, so you picture little Babaji there in this story, meeting those 5 tigers, and he's totally ready to eat his pancakes and fall asleep. And people who have experienced something serious in their lives, like trauma, like a serious accident perhaps, some form of abuse, people that have PTSD from the military service, or police officers, firefighters, even people with different challenges such as autism. These people are always hovering on the edge of that fight or flight, always, because of the way that trauma or that stress or that challenge has stressed their body out. And this is valuable for me to learn, just to remember to extend extra grace and patience to those people that are in my life, and really to extend that to everyone, because people don't wear their life on their sleeve. You never quite know who you're meeting or who is hovering on the edge of that. But of course, it doesn't take something significant in our lives to have that that daily stress, and even that adrenal fatigue. Studies have shown us that extended exposure to social media, for example, all those different various stimuli to the brain can leave someone hovering on the brink of an adrenaline response, and even something normal in daily life can push them over the edge. Another example would be a new experience, like a new job environment, a new school environment, going to college. Just life changes, and something new keeps someone on edge, and really puts them on the brink of that same adrenaline response all the time. And a normal stimulus could push them over the edge. Another would be just a challenging relationship with a coworker or a boss, a spouse, a child, and leaving that individual hovering on the edge. This stress in daily life is our topic tonight, and this that these could happen to anybody. And so really anybody is a candidate for that adrenal fatigue. Well, let us see how can we support the body. So if you're someone that say, hey, that is me, I'm probably hovering right on the edge, or I have been, or I have adrenal fatigue already. Regardless of where in this picture you find yourself, there are things that we can do to be proactive in supporting our body. So if we're not there yet, we can hopefully not reach the adrenal fatigue. Or if we are, we can begin to support our body and build it up once again. Now, this list that I have to share with you tonight is not a comprehensive list. I encourage you to research and find what you feel is the best plan for you. I am not a doctor of any sort, so my statements that I'm sharing are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. Anything I'm sharing is for educational and wellness purposes only. And I do enjoy researching through the materials of Dr. Jim Bob Hagerton. I encourage you to look him up on YouTube or on Facebook if you would like to get in touch with a great doctor who has wrapped his mind around this very subject. So, let's tackle this in 3 parts. I'm calling it the ABCs. Well, what does A stand for? If you're taking notes, A stands for aromatherapy, and that would be our Young Living essential oils. So essential oils, aromatherapy is a very beneficial tool anytime you're dealing with the brain and the body too, but especially the brain. Studies have been done of people breathing different essential oils and in making different parts of the brain begin to work and function, and different emotional and chemical / hormonal responses beginning to happen. I took down a study that was done with lavender, showing how useful it was for normalizing the body's stress response. The inhalation or topical application of lavender may help to balance the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest portion of the nervous system, with the sympathetic or fight or flight portion of the nervous system, which is often, as we say, excessively dominant. So it's balancing the two of them. We often think of lavender as something that you can use at bedtime, it's going to put me to sleep. But this research was actually showing how beneficial it was to be used during the day. Don't wait till you're completely wiped out, you've been on high stress all day long. They showed how valuable it was to use every few hours throughout the day to kind of maintain that balance, so you didn't go high in the day, low at night, but to balance better. Yes, it says the Journal of Biosciences in Germany shared findings that emotional stress put individuals at increased risk for multiple diseases. First and foremost, cardiovascular disease, while a September 2008 edition of the Journal of Cardiology shared findings that inhaling lavender for 30 minutes during the day or evening significantly decreased patients' cortisol levels and promoted healthy circulation. So something so simple as our lavender essential oil would be a great starting place. There's many essential oils besides. For example, frankincense. Frankincense increases activity in the part of the brain that is associated with prayer and meditation. If you're familiar with the Bible, God told Moses to use frankincense, and the incense that was burnt within the tabernacle. You can find that in Exodus. So God was using frankincense to support the worship of the people as they came to worship him. Cedarwood. This one is also mentioned in the Bible. You might know of Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived. He would use cedar. He actually built his house of cedar. He built God's house of cedar. And we found that cedar wood is very high in sesquiterpenes, which supports normal memory functions and overall cognitive functions within the brain. I remember Dr. John Bob Hagerton suggesting that he likes to diffuse cedar wood at night for his kids as their brain is sleeping and processing all whatever happened throughout the day. He felt that that was very beneficial for them, breathing in that cedar wood. Some pine-scented essential oils, such as Idaho balsam fir and blue spruce, can help the body lower unnecessary levels of the fight and flight hormones, increase happy hormones such as oxytocin. And a little trivia for you: the Great Smoky Mountains and the haze that hovers over them. Have you seen pictures? They have done research and found that that haze that hovers above them, it's not smoke, it's not fog, it's clouds of essential oils. And many of y'all might love to take a walk in the woods in the fall, or even any time of year, and just smell the warm aromas in the pine. You are smelling essential oils, so you have a grasp already of how supportive those smells can be and the activity to the body. Black spruce, our Northern Lights black spruce, such as is found in our Young Living Phyillaier blend, has been shown to bring confidence and courage. In fact, Roman warriors back in Roman times, they would actually break branches of the juniper and rub them on themselves and their clothing to create feelings of courage. That scent had that benefit. And I love, this is the Valor 2 blend, and it actually has several of these categories that we're talking about tonight. We've talked about the frankincense, and we're about to talk about, it has the Idaho blue spruce, it has the Northern Lights black spruce, and we're about to talk about the vetiver and some citrus oils, which it does actually have those as well. So I love my Valor 2. Next, there are oils such as galbanum and vetiver that have deeper notes that are very grounding to emotions, helping you just get your feet down on solid earth and get just a good, honest look at life, grounded and taking in the whole picture. I know quite often I can use a bit of grounding in my life. Peppermint, many of you might already be aware of what peppermint does. Peppermint is a very invigorating smell and very chipper, if you will. If you're driving a long time in the car and need to stay awake or waking up in the morning, peppermint is a very awakening scent. And of course, the citrus oils. Our blend, such as citrus fresh and orange, are suggested to boost happiness, pleasant childhood memories, and even artistic creativity. So, I love citrus oils. I love to diffuse them. They are, especially orange, but great oils. So you're seeing, this is not an exhaustive list by any chance, but you're seeing how the essential oils support the emotions. They could be applied topically, again, diffused. There's multiple ways and applications to use them, really trying them and seeing what works best for you. And of course, Young Living has many emotional blends, including joy, motivation, awaken, gratitude, humility, calming, clarity. I love clarity. Very fresh. It's like an herb garden. What do we have? Basil, rosemary, peppermint, geranium, bergamot, lemon, jasmine, chamomile, pomarosa, and more. Love my clarity. Let's see what else. blends like fun, finance, fitness, grow, abundance, live with passion, and last but not least, highest potential, and many, many more. There's even, in fact, a blend called release. If you have pent up emotions within you, it might be helpful to use the release blend to help you release those and let them go. And I want to wrap up with the White Angelica. White Angelica is well loved for applying to the shoulders, and it actually has been shown to increase the magnetic energy field around the body and ward off those negative emotions, so you're not just absorbing negative emotions from those around you, and to feel protected. I really love wearing White Angelica. It's fascinating as well that in the Bible, it talks about essential oils being used for emotions. I'm reading Psalm 45, verse 7 and 8. It says, Thou lovest righteousness and hatest wickedness. Therefore God, thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. All thy garments smell of myrrh, aloes, and cassia, out of the ivory palaces whereby they have made thee glad. So God, thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness. Limitless myrrh, aloes, and cassia. I love that. Essential oils in the Bible. Well, our next step, that was the A, aromatherapy. The next step is B, basic building blocks. And these are so foundational. In my mind, I would actually perhaps start here for myself rather than starting with the aromatherapy. They're really, either place is a great place to start. When I started my emotional journey, I did start with essential oils, and I loved them. And I added in these more foundational blocks when I became aware of them. And really, both are so important because the body is functioning. These emotions are really physical responses. And sometimes when they happen, we can't process them. Perhaps as a child, we can't process that emotion. And so the body stores it till a time when we can process it. And here we are as adults. And we can then use the essential oils to perk those memories and actually sort out those emotions and find out really the emotions are messengers. They're telling us something is wrong. You need to look closer at the situation or this experience and sort it out. And maybe, the emotion itself is just a messenger. So we can thank the emotion and find out the message it was pointing us towards. So, sometimes those messengers are telling us that our body is lacking physical building blocks, such as in our diet and our nutrition. Some basic suggestions for diet, and if you're looking where to start, might be to increase protein and lower your sugar intake. Protein supports balanced, healthy blood sugar levels, while lowering sugar allows the adrenal glands to function healthily and take stress off other bodily functions. Sugars can really stress the body out and make it work harder, so we can help our bodies by reducing that, especially white processed sugar intake. Activities. Exercise is very beneficial when we're dealing with a lot of emotions. Prayer and meditation, and the actual combination of walking and talking with a friend is a very powerful, beneficial process to sort through those emotions and to deal with them. Supplements. There are some great supplements that maybe you're feeling distraught because your body is simply crying out for these building blocks that it needs. Starting with omega-3 oils. Omega-3 oils support the brain, the cognitive function. They're so valuable for the body. Really the whole body and all the cells need those omega-3 oils. And Young Living has a product called Omega Dyes. That's a great blend. It has the healthy fish oil. It has vitamin D, a great supplement for the brain. Another one, which I believe is vegetarian, if not vegan. I'm not sure about the vegan part, but it's called Mindwise. And it is, I have a bottle here to show you. Those of you who know me, I love my Mindwise. This revolutionized my life last winter. I've always struggled with winter blues, and getting this Sasha Inchi nut oil with vitamin D, which is oil-soluble vitamin, and so many other great ingredients and essential oils really got me back on my feet and really got my happiest self back again in the winter time. Another great supplement would be B vitamins, and specifically Young Living Super B combination, Super B supplements. Okay, so picture the body, picture a machine. Raw ingredients go in one end, mature, and an end product comes out. When B vitamins and folate, which is also in the Super B supplement, when those go into the machine, it helps the body to produce dopamine. Now, dopamine is a neurotransmitter. That means it carries signals between nerves, which is part of healthy brain function. So dopamine is that neurotransmitter that controls the brain's reward and pleasure centers. So happiness, it really works with helping the body to regulate emotional responses. And also, when those B vitamins and folate go in, another byproduct is serotonin, another neurotransmitter carrying signals between the nerves that can affect the mood, social behavior, memory, sleep, etc. So it's been found that without these ingredients, the body actually can't physically move away from stressors very well. And vitamin D isn't stored within the body, so a constant supply is needed. So I love recommending the Super B formula and helping my friends get that. For me personally, I also love Master Formula. I take Master Formula every day, and what it is an amazing vitamin multi-nutrient complex. It has 4 little pills in the bag, and has all the different vitamin B's and some healthy oils besides. So just an amazing supplement, the Master Formula. Love, love, love the Master Formula. Welcome, somebody's joining us. So glad to have you. Thanks for coming on. The Master Formula, and okay, so one more thing about the Master Formula would be when you are full of energy, when you are thinking clearly, and on top of your game, making good food choices, healthy choices, how much easier is it to not get triggered by stress? When the kids spill something and you're feeling on top of your game, you're feeling strong and capable, it just makes life so much easier, does it not? I love the Master Formula. Since I've been taking it, I've noticed improvements with my digestive health. I've noticed more energy, lots more energy, and clearer thinking. And my unhealthy cravings were minimized. And my blood sugar has just been amazing. It just levels throughout the day. I'm so thankful for Master Formula. Definitely recommend. Another great supplement to look at would be Ningxia Red, flooding the body with nutrients, every organ and every cell, and flooding it with antioxidants as well. What a great support for a body who's tired or under a lot of stress. Ningxia Red. Another supplement to check out would be the probiotic Life 9. We talked about how stress lowers the digestive health. If you're about to be eaten by a tiger, you don't need to digest that hamburger. You need to use the ready energy, all that blood sugar that was dumped into your blood system, and get away fast. You can digest later, right? So that puts a lot of stress on the gut. So anything can do to support the gut. The master formula I shared, it has a prebiotic, not a probiotic, but a prebiotic. The healthy things, if they are already in the gut, those probiotics can just take off and grow. And we know that our Life 9 probiotic actually has strains that actually colonize in the gut, and they continue to be there and to grow healthy. So those are a great pair, a great combination to consider. Energize. Energize has an ingredient called ashwagandha, and this ingredient supports many things. It supports healthy thyroid function. It supports balanced cortisol levels and hormone balancing. It supports memory, normal memory functions. And it helps the body to do healthy relaxations, as well as improves the long-term visual memory and energy levels. So there you go. You have, that is kind of a loaded one, and that's just one ingredient. Energize has all different ingredients that support the endocrine system. So a great supplement there. Last but not least, a couple to consider would be PD 8020 and Progestins Plus. These are both have building blocks for hormones. So if the body is off balance hormonally, or if it needs help, needs help doing its normal functions, the DHA is the D in PD 8020, and that supports healthy adrenals. So the PD 8020 that could be taken potentially by a guy or a girl, and of course we know the Progestins Plus is formulated specifically for women. So great supplements to consider. Last but not least, we've been doing the ABCs. A was aromatherapy, B was the building blocks, and C is choosing our thoughts. So when we have made some of the above changes with the aromatherapy and supporting the different systems of the body with those supplements, we can truly begin to take control of our thought processes. And we can indeed start to take control of our thoughts from day one. But it will be more difficult when the physical processes aren't nourished and lubricated and all those building blocks, because we've seen that the mental processes is actually physical processes, physical pathways, understanding how the brain works like a computer system, needing to function well. So what are some things that we can do to support changing those thoughts, which are choosing our thoughts? Well, I want to jump over to my slides again if I can. Okay. There's the Life 9. Romans 12:1 and 2. I beseech you, therefore, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So I love this verse especially because it talks about renewing our mind. And whatever God has for us, it's part of his will for us. He does give us the strength to accomplish. I discovered that I cannot prove what God's good and acceptable and perfect will for me is when I'm living a stressed out, out of control life. You know, God speaks to us in a still, small voice, is where it says. And so we have to be still and quiet to hear that. And so where is a good place to begin? Well, I had to begin by starting to actually rewire my brain. And I'll explain more about that in a second. So I want to share with you Galatians 5:1 next. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty by which Christ has made us free, and do not be entangled again with the yoke of bondage. So Christ has made us free. And the reason that he set us free from our sin, from our struggles, from being in bondage to our own stress and emotions is so that we can be free and liberated. So think about with me about some places that you ordinarily visit. Perhaps it would be places in your town, and you just go there so often. You jump into your car, and it's almost like your car is on autopilot because you don't even have to think about the turns. You just go there. For me, it would be probably church, Aldi's, the consignment shop, to name a few. My brain it knows. Those are places that I know like the back of my hand. Another way to look at this would be what are the most visited sites on your web browser? For example, you might type into Google, all you have to do is hit P, and it pops up Pinterest. Because you go to Pinterest all the time, you have a quick link for it. Your computer knows that you're going there. Now, our brain has places like this too. The places in our mind that we spend the most time. Those might be very neutral or very positive places, or if we've been under a lot of stress, those could be some very negative places. For example, it might be about what you say to yourself about yourself. If you think about yourself and something negative comes to mind, that could be a problem, something to be aware of. Maybe what do you first think about when you first think about your spouse? Are there areas that you frequent often that are areas of worry? Or something that you often are just complaining about inside? Maybe there's a key struggle or a relationship that bugs you and you think about it 24/7. Or even something that happened long ago and you've pent up bitterness and resentment and go there frequently and think about it. Well, these are places that I'd encourage you to take a few moments tonight or later on and just jot down what some of those might be. As I've been studying this, I've become more aware of that in my own life as well. And it was eye-opening to me to realize that it hasn't always been that way. Those haven't always been central hubs for me. Really, every thought starts as one little thought. If you're joining by phone, you might not be able to see this, but it's a little tiny foil ball. It's super tiny. It's about half an inch big. And it represents one single incident that has happened. Maybe it was just a clash with a boss at work for the first time, or a negative interaction with a coworker or a spouse. And it's just one little thing. And you have a choice. It doesn't seem big at the time, but really it's a huge decision. Am I going to go back and think of it again? We have a choice. Is this going to become a big deal or a small deal? And I know for myself, it's often easy just to say, oh, well, I mean, it happened today. I get to go back and think about it if I want to. and so I do. And here I am, I'm wrapping another sheet of foil. Foil is so thin, right? Paper is thin. But that ball has grown just by revisiting it one time. And maybe it was satisfying to think about in kind of a negative sort of way. Maybe it just, I don't know, gave me a feeling of superiority or something, thinking about how I was right or something. And so I think about it again, and it grows and it gets bigger. And I think about it again, and it grows and it gets bigger. So every time we revisit a thought in our brains, it actually becomes physically more important within our brain, that it becomes larger in size. It becomes actually, even our brain might put it in a different place so that we can go back more easily and visit it. Now let's talk about getting there. So that's the thought. Let me switch over to my slides. We'll talk about getting there. Okay, so when we first get to the thought, or when we first have that experience, it's just one little spot. So the pathway to get to it in our brain is probably the equivalent of this dirt road that you're seeing here. It's bumpy, it's covered with gravel. It would be kind of a rough ride traveling there. Not super easy. So it would take some work to go back that first time and recount all the details, but we choose to do that. So the next time when we go back, it's a little bit easier and a little bit easier. Here you see a road that's paved. It's still a little bit squiggly. It would take some navigating, but it's smooth traveling. It's easier. And say we choose to go back again and again. And these are physical pathways in the brain that are getting built up and strengthened. So here you see a major road with lots of different lanes of traffic. You could just buzz right along and get to that thought, until one day all those main thoughts are all interconnected. Like you see this city road with curves, and all the different roads are twisting and curving over one another. It's just a thoroughfare of traffic. And that's actually what happens in our brains. Each of these thoughts even become interconnected with one another. They were just isolated incidents. They were just even perhaps one single occurrence. We visited them, we've mulled over them, and they've all become interconnected and interwoven and easy to get to. Again, that could be a good thing if they're positive things, if we're building ourselves up by thinking them. If that's something negative, that could be a very unhealthy thing. For us, we're holding ourselves in bondage. And again, we looked at Galatians 5:1. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. And this has been visualizing this. I hope maybe it's helped you to visualize it this way. Realizing whenever that thing happens that was stressful, is most important to do the next step, which is 2 Corinthians 10:5. Let me jump back to the slide so you can read it along with me. I love this verse. It says, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. Bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. Okay, so that captivity, that's kind of a military term, where, say you would meet someone or something, and they would bring it into captivity to determine, is this a friend or is this a foe? Can we let them go and be safe, or do we need to keep them captive and not let them come in? The Bible encourages us to take every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. And this is something that I'm learning to be more conscious about myself as I deal with this stress, as I don't want this stress in my life, as I want to be present for my kids and setting good patterns for them, and as I want to hear that still small voice so I can discern the Lord's will daily. Learning to take those thoughts into captivity and bringing them into obedience to Christ. And I love Psalm 1. It says that those who meditate on the word, and they shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth their fruit in their season. Their leaf does not wither, and whatsoever they do shall prosper. I want that to be a description of my life. How about you? Doesn't that sound amazing, to be this flourishing tree who never wilts? He has all the supply he needs from the Lord and always prospers. Well, I hope that this has been a help to you. Starting with the aromatherapy and the basics, which is such as diet and exercise and proper nutritional supplements, and bringing those thoughts into captivity to bring our bodies into optimal function and optimal health so we can be the best servants for the Lord. Well, I thank you for everyone who has joined us tonight, and I hope this has been helpful to you. If you're here tonight and you've not used essential oils before, I would love to help you get started. You can contact me at the email address that I'll post at the end of the video, and I'd love to help you support your body, move away from stress, and live a vibrant, healthy life. So, have a great night. God bless.